Accuracy and me don't get along. Believe me. The bananas. It's not a potassium thing. I'm just a big fan. Hey, if my source said to me they're going to Czechoslovakia this week, how am I to blame? I'm passing the information.
Here he is, one half of the team. Donnie
he made himself laugh there. Did you hear that? He made himself laugh.
No, I didn't.
I did laugh, but I also, because it's just Price. Price is the guy that's nitpicky as hell. But always, just one little, off phrase or something, he's all over you. It's just ridiculous.
One half of the team, Donnie and Dhali, weekdays on Czech television from 10 to noon. It's our Canucks Insider on Fridays, Mr. Rick Dhaliwal. So here he is.
Are you going Linus or Linus Karlsson going forward?
I just texted the agent this morning, and I haven't got a response back. Let me check if. Hold on, I don't know. He's really good at getting back to me. And
you typed it out phonetically, Lee or
I gave him both Linus ly/nus, and then Linus lee/nus Linus or Linus. So when I get that, I'll tweet it out.
Okay, thank you.
I'm more concerned about. Hold it a second here. I'm more concerned about how he does when he gets here, guys.
Yes. Because that is more important.
Yeah, because here's the thing about Linus Karlsson. We'll call him Linus right now until we, until we get official.
Yeah.
Yes, but look, this guy could end up being important, and I'll tell you why. I don't see any young centers in Abbotsford. They didn't have any this year that were drafted. And when I look at them drafting 15th overall, everyone says, yeah, they got to get a defenseman. But, man, you got to have something in the prospect pool up the middle as well. And they don't have anything up the middle right now. And that's why you see the geeky kid in Winnipeg who, if he falls to the Canucks at 15, he's a big centerman. You wonder if that's the guy the Canucks take. I'm just saying, if Linus Karlsson can end up being a player, that would help the Canucks because they really don't have much up the middle in the organization.
And here's the bad news, Rick. We talked to our friend Mike Zanier earlier today, who's a Canadian.
Yeah, Mike's a good guy.
Yeah, Mike. He's done radio there covering Swedish games. He said Karlsson pretty much played on right wing this year.
All year?
He played with sort of a veteran centerman there in Sweden. So he said, look, he took some draws and whatnot. He played some center, earlier in his career, but he thought he would be a right winger for the Canucks. Yeah. Well, because he said he loves to shoot the puck. Like, the thing he told us was like he was going through some Swedish Hockey League box scores. He goes, there'd be games where he'd have like 7-8 shots per, on the night. He goes, that's really rare in the Swedish League where like some games end with just 20 shots. So he's really a shooter. I think he's going to wind up on the wing here in North America.
But for the non-superstars, guys, we see guys start on the wing, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean
that's the other thing.
That is true. He's got a good nose. He's got a good nose. He's got a good nose for the net. He's an offensive player, obviously, and he's got a good shot. And the people I've talked to in Sweden, and Mike and I have been DMing too as well. He, of course, lives in Sweden. But the other thing, he's got to work on his skating, and that's NHL skating and skating elsewhere are two different things. And but you know what? He's a good prospect. They got him signed. Now it's up to him. A prospect is always a prospect until he proves otherwise. And now it's up to him to take this opportunity and do something with it. But you remember the Canucks, their last Swedish signing when they brought him over and it didn't work out in 2016-2017. Linden, what was his name again?
Brody Larson? Oh, Brody.
No.
Rodin.
Anton Rodin. And remember they had Philip Holm, and they were coming off and Philip Holm. So listen, it's a good signing. And now it's up to the player to take the opportunity and move forward.
Speaking of hybrids, JT Miller certainly qualifies with this ability to play center and on the wing. What's the latest there with JT?
All right, Jim Rutherford was on the show this morning. We asked him, hey, look, I know you guys have national Dragers on, and we have national guys on as well. Everybody's always talking about JT Miller, the trade. Oh, what are we going to get from it? Will you let them talk contract first? And that's what Jim said. He said that is the goal. We'll see where it goes. Let them talk contract first. And if they're far apart, obviously he's going to get moved. But let them get to the stage where they actually make some offers and see if they can have. The goal is to sign him. I know everybody, and here's what Rutherford said. The goal is to sign him. We'll see where it goes. He's got a lot of good hockey left in him. We're in a tough situation cap-wise. We're trying to untangle that. We have a projected cap hit number for him. So guess what, guys? When this new regime took over, they were not left a very good cap situation. So they're trying to, the keyword, untangle that, trying to make some room. And maybe if they make some room, they'll have a better shot at signing JT. But let them have the ability to get in a room, get some numbers, crunch some numbers, see if they can do it. If they can't, obviously he gets moved.
Do you have optimism that can happen, though? Do you have optimism that they can get to a number that would really set this team up for success going forward and give them room to get a defenseman as well?
Some people think the comparable is Mika Zibanejad at 8.5, and that could be just the starting point. I'm looking at the Canucks right now, and I'm looking at Pettersson's up in 2 years, so he's going to get a raise, especially his second half, guys. Besser is possibly, going to get a qualifying offer this year at 7.5. Horvat's up this summer. He's going to get a raise. I mean, let's be honest. He's not going to be in the 5s anymore, and I don't even see him in the 6s. I mean, I'm going to guess that, he's put himself in and Rutherford talked about Bo Horvat today as well. He said, I really like Bo, going back to his junior days. We've had good discussions with him after the season. We believe he should be a part of this team going forward. Now, let me get to Horvat before we get back to Miller. If you don't forget the 10 days in Nashville where Bo got stuck with the COVID. I think it was 10 days, guys. He got the injury late. This guy could have hit 40 goals if he didn't have the COVID Nashville thing, and if he didn't get the injury. Guys, we could be looking at a player that possibly could have got close to 40 goals. So when I look at Pettersson, raise, Besser, raise, Horvat, raise, I'm wondering where is the money for JT? And I'm also wondering, guys, when he says, Rutherford says we're in a tough cap situation, obviously not their fault, previous regime. We're trying to untangle that. Interesting.
Listening to you talk it out, though, all the reporting to date has been pointing in this direction. It sounds like they have decided re-sign Horvat, trade Miller if they have to. Like, I don't hear anybody talking about re-sign Miller, trade Horvat.
But
the opposite.
But Matt, do let them, and this is what nobody in the city, the fans or the media, is doing, is not letting them. Jim told us today the goal is to sign them. Let them talk, and if it's a number that's too high, obviously they're going to move them. It's just, but I do believe in my heart they will talk and they'll throw some offers around, see if they can make it work. Because look, power play, penalty killing, overtime, shootouts. This guy was a big part of the hockey club, and if you move him, that's a massive hole. He can play wing, he can play center. We're talking about a guy that got 99 points. We're not talking about a fourth liner here. We're talking about a guy who had one of the best seasons in the National Hockey League this year.
No question about it. Which is why we've discussed there may have to be a step back next season to get the cap untangled, Ricky. Well, to use his word and your word.
Yeah, when he used that word untangled today, boy, oh boy, I do feel, I'm not going to lie to you, I do feel for this regime. I mean, they take over a team with very few prospects. They take over a team that in the last two drafts did nothing but trade the first and second round picks. And, and here's another one for you guys today. I asked Rutherford about getting a second-round pick this year. He did say everything's on the table, but he said adding a pick that high is easy to say, hard to do. You got to cough up a pretty good player to get picked.
You sure do at this time of year, and that's why I do wonder, as Jeff Patterson mentioned earlier in the show, like second-round picks are never more attainable than they are in the days and hours before trade deadline. And then trade deadline passes, and suddenly a second-round pick gets a lot more valuable than it was prior to the trade deadline. So that's going to be a tough get without trading a bigger name. We know you got to run, but there's a goaltender situation to monitor going forward based on what Rutherford told you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Rutherford, look, when Spencer Martin moves up to the big league team, and that's going to leave DiPietro and Silvas in Abbotsford. Okay, so look, somebody gets an injury up in Vancouver, you got to call someone up. These guys are still young. You need a veteran. You always need a veteran goalie. And how many times in the last few years have the Canucks had to go to the farm? And it's always best when you have a veteran goalie. He admitted that they have discussed getting a veteran goaltender, and he said, is something we probably are going to end up doing this summer is get a veteran goaltender. So now Mike DiPietro, this is what I asked you guys. His contract's got to be qualified this year. DiPietro, you bring in a veteran goaltender, okay? And I don't know what their views are on DiPietro and Silvas, which one they like better or which one they see more promise. Ian Clark would better, and also Curtis Sanford, who never gets enough credit in this organization, does a wonderful job with the goalies in Abbotsford. What are their views on DiPietro? What are their views on Silvas? I think they got a goaltender they drafted last year as well overseas. So all I'm saying is, if they get a veteran goaltender, what do you do with DiPietro? He's now been in the system for a while. Martin came in, kind of passed him, and now he's got the one-way deal at the NHL level for 2 years. So just monitor that situation. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Canucks with the Abbotsford goaltending situation.
It gets even more complicated when you add Artur Silovs to the mix, along with DiPietro and the Silvas character that you've been talking about. So there's
so there you go.
There's way too many goalies. Again,
but you waited 3 times for me to say Silvas before you corrected me. Yep. See, and that's the guy right there. There's the guy. No help, nothing. And a couple weeks ago, he tweeted some stupid word nobody in the sporting world uses. And the greatest thing about sports is, you're having a beer with the boys, and and it's just good old wholesome fun. And here comes Price with an absolutely
smart ass shows up.
And then a stupid word in a tweet about sports that nobody on this planet has used. But Price, there you go, Mr. Harvard.
You're the best.
Ricky, thank you for this. We know you're off to the golf course, fairways and greens, my brother. We'll catch up next Friday.
All right, guys. Take care.
See ya. Oh, my gosh.
He's priceless.
One of a kind.